Welcome to cooking cheap, easy, and tasty meals. Okay, today we're going to make hamburger buns. It's another simple ingredients recipe. We're going to start off by putting flour, and we're going to put 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Measuring it, I'm trying not to pack it in. You could be more careful, you could fluff it up, you could do a lot of things, but I'm just doing it a simple way. There's 2 cups, and there's 1/2 cup. And we're going to add 2 teaspoons of yeast. Now, you could also add a packet, which is a little bit more than that. I think a packet is like 2 1/4, but it's going to be close enough. Now we're going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. And you can find recipes where you don't use as much sugar, but it really is going to disappear. The yeast is going to consume it. It's not going to be a problem. And then mix this up a little bit. And then I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to mix in is 1 cup of warm milk. And when I say warm, I mean it's room temperature. When you stick your finger in it, it doesn't feel like it has any temperature at all. That's about right. Mix that up a little bit, and then I'm going to add to that. At this point, you could add oil. I'm going to do something a little different. To cut down on the fat, I'm going to use applesauce, which can be used as a replacement for oil. 2 tablespoons of applesauce, and we'll see how that works out. In the past, when I've done things like that, it works out. So we'll try. Now, if you don't have applesauce, which I typically have all the time, you certainly can use oil. Avocado oil, regular canola oil, any kind of oil you like. So, okay, now we've got that mixed, and we're going to put in 1 egg. Now, if you're uncomfortable adding the egg direct, you certainly could add it to a bowl and then mix it in, but I've had pretty good luck with breaking these eggs and them not getting all over the place. So, now, at this point, you could use a mixer to mix this. I'm going to just stir it with my spoon. Till I'm comfortable it's been mixed well. Pretty wet mixture at this point. So I'm going to give it a little while. I may have to add a little more flour, but it looks pretty good. At this point, you would probably add between 1/3 and 1/4 cup of flour. I'm going to add it a little bit at a time until I get the consistency I want. I want it to be kind of shaggy. I don't want it to be too wet. I want it to be a workable dough. A little more flour. Every little bit you add makes it a little easier. It gets a little bit more workable. Okay. That was between a third and a quarter of a cup, quarter of a cup and a third of a cup. And see how it starts to get more of a dough ball, which is good. Coming together really well, getting more workable. Okay. Now we're going to let that sit for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to knead it for a while. But we're going to let it sit for a minute and rest. I'm going to put a towel over it for a minute, and we'll come back in 5 or 10 minutes and take a look. Okay, it's been about 15 minutes, so we're going to take this and we're going to do a little kneading. The main reason I don't like doing kneading, but in this case I want these ready in a little shorter time, so I can't just leave them sitting. So I'm going to put a little flour out, and I'm going to spread it around, and I'm going to scrape this down. There we go. And I'm going to put a little flour on top of it. And I'm going to do really simple kneading. First off, I'm just going to roll it around in this flour, try and get my hands a little floury. And then I'm going to just do regular folding. There's all sorts of ways you can do this. I like to just pull it, stretch it, and fold it. Make sure I got a little flour on it so it doesn't stick. If you have time, you can let it rise on its own a little while and save you some of the kneading, but it's going to come together pretty well anyway. You can see it's already getting a little stretchy. The gluten is forming. It's going to be fine. Making things like this is not as hard as sometimes it seems. It just takes a little time and effort. And again, if you make it with a no-knead recipe, you usually mix it all up and just let it sit overnight, and then you just do a little bit of folding and you're done. All right, now that looks pretty good. So we're going to stop there. I'm going to cover it and let it rise for 15 or 20 minutes, and then I'll come back and we'll do the next step. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes. So what I'm going to do now is take this and put a little bit more flour down just to keep it from sticking. I'm going to take it and try and cut it into 8 somewhat similar sized pieces. We'll see how good a job I do. Okay, there's 2. Let's see if I can get this 4 pieces out of this. I'll cut it in half. It looks about like a half. I'll cut that one in about half. And I'll cut these pieces into about a half each. Obviously, I'm not going to get them all the same size, but I'll do what I can do with it. You could weigh them if you really are interested in exactness. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to take these, set them around the edge, and then I'm going to roll them into a ball. It helps if you pull them like this and then turn them over. Okay, there's one. Flatten it out, pull it in, stretch it, try and stretch the sides on it. Turn it over. It's sticking a little too much, so a little more flour will be nice. So, get a nice little ball. The same thing with it, flatten it out. Try and pull it into a ball to try and stretch the back side of it so it'll be round and smooth. And then try and close off the bottom. Again, same thing here. Try and flatten it out. Now this is easy to make. It does take a little work, but it doesn't take much in the way of supplies. You really just need flour, milk, salt, a package of yeast, and some sugar. And you could use oil or applesauce, whichever you prefer. And then it's just a matter of a little work with your hands. And you can, it's not complicated. You can take your time and do it at whatever speed you want. But the general idea is we're pulling it to try and stretch it and get the top of it to be somewhat smooth. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this pan, I'm going to set these in here and let them rise. And I'm not going to set them all in here. I got a feeling they're going to rise too much. So I'm going to put 5 of them in this pan, and I'll put on another pan. And we'll come back in about half an hour after they've risen. Okay, I'll let these rise for about 45 minutes, and you can see they've risen very well. I let them rise a little longer than normal because my kitchen is a little cool today. You want to put them in a warm place to let them rise, and summer is better, but except the problem of air conditioning. So any way you look at it, you just got to let them rise. If you don't have a way to set them in a fixed temperature, some ovens will let you set a very low temperature. That if you have that, makes it really easy. They're going to go in the oven at 375. But first, I am going to do a little egg wash and put some sesame seeds on top. As you can see, I really didn't get them anywhere near the same size, but I did okay. They will come out fine. They're going to probably swell in the oven and rub together, but they'll be fine for the hamburgers I'm going to make tonight. And I'll probably freeze any remnants of this and use them in the next few days. Or maybe I won't freeze them and I'll use them in the next few days. I really like hamburgers, so that would be really nice. Okay, next step, I'm going to sprinkle some sesame seeds. These are tuxedos, black and whites mixed together. Get a nice coverage. They'll look really nice. I'm going to stick them in the oven at 375 for 10 to 12 minutes. Probably longer because my oven runs a little cold, but we'll see. Okay, here they are, fresh from the oven. I'm going to check the internal temperature. It's about, that's right around 190, right around 200, which should be fine. They all seem to be about right. Okay, so I've got to let them cool, and then I'm going to take them and I'm going to make hamburgers with them. So I'll come back when I've done that. We have it, a homemade hamburger bun, and it really looks good when you've got the rest of the ingredients added. Try it, I hope you'll like it. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and give us a like. Thank you.